This is for class 9 political science chapter 1, and the title of this chapter is Democracy in the Contemporary World. We'll be learning today about the democracy in the contemporary world. First, what we need to question ourselves is, what is democracy? We must understand the concept democracy. And here in a bullet points you can see that democracy, it means, or it refers to a political system in which government is formed by the people, exercised either directly or through elected representatives. Number 2, a system of government by the whole population or all eligible members of a state. Also, you can find various definitions of democracy, and if you are interested, you can go for more on your own. But this is the general definition of what democracy is. Now let's take the example of Chile. In this map you can see the red arrow pointing the country Chile. From here, let's try to understand the different concepts of democracy. And for example, there's two tales of democracy. Number 1, like I said earlier in the map showing about the Chile, let's understand the two tales of democracy. This man you are seeing in this picture, he is Salvador Allende, then president of Chile, and he is also a founder of Socialist Party. And what Allende's policy was for the poor and the workers, or in the country he contributed, was he brought a reformation in educational system, provided free milk for children, and also he redistributed the land to the landless farmers. Also, Allen, he opposed foreign companies taking natural resources like copper from the country. But the implementation of policy was not easy. His or Allen's policy was opposed by the landlords, the rich class people, the churches. Some other political parties also opposed the government. In September 11, we can see that this date was marked by violence and sorrow in the minds of many people around the world. But for Chileans, it is doubly so, because on that day in 1973, the country's democratically elected president Salvador Allende was overthrown in a brutal military coup. After that, defense minister was arrested. Military commanders asked president to resign. This is the picture of military coup of 1973, and this was the result of oppose against Allende's policy. And meaning of coup is, you can see in this picture, it means a group of people seizing power in a country. Also, it's a coup. Military coup is a coup organized and carried out by members of the armed forces. Now, it is discussed in this book that who we need to understand who led military coup. It was General Augusto Pinochet led the coup. United States of America funded military coup because USA was not happy with Allende's policy. Pinochet then ruled the country for 17 years. And what did Allende do in this situation? Allende refused. He refused to resign. He refused to leave the country. what you need to understand is aftermath of military coup. What happened aftermath of military coup? Power from government was shifted to military. No one would question the military officers. Finally, military dictatorship was established in Chile. More than 3,000 people were killed and many more were not reported missing. But there was a restoration of democracy in 1988 where Pinochet's military dictatorship ended and he decided to hold a referendum. He was confident that the public would say yes to his power, but the people of Chile knew about democratic ways. Finally, political freedom was restored. And what does it mean by referendum? It means a general vote by the electorate on a single political question which has been referred to them for a direct decision, where we can see in this chapter that Pinochet was very confident that the people would vote for him, but it did not happen so, because the people of the country already had tested the political freedom and democratic ways of life. How was Pinochet's rule? The government was very brutal, they were corrupt, and if we have to understand the meaning of brutal, which means harsh, savagely violent, and also we should understand corrupt, where it means showing a willingness to act dishonestly in return for money or personal gain. So, this was the main uh, cases that was faced in this country at the time of Pinochet's rule. What is the meaning of dictator? And also, we need to understand the term dictator by examples. Yeah, it means a ruler with total power over a country, typically one who has obtained control by force. Example, Adolf Hitler is one of the example who can be understood as a dictator when we have to understand the term dictator. Since we are trying to understand democracy in the contemporary world, and the earlier I had given the example of Chile, how the democracy was there and coup was followed, and after that the restoration of democracy was again proposed. And likewise, we can see, in order to understand the democracy in Poland as an example, Poland is a country in Central Europe. Let's see in the year 1980 of the country Poland. In which situation was the country Poland? In 1980, Poland was ruled by Polish United Workers' Party. This party was one of the communist parties. Under their rule, people could not freely choose the leaders. People were sent to prison if they spoke against the government. In your book, you can see there's a map. In this video also, you can read it, where there's a red dot, the country showing Poland. Yeah, it's very interesting if you sometimes be engaged in finding the countries in the maps. Do this exercise. It will help you a lot. So, coming to the point, USSR supported and controlled Poland government. USSR, also known as Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, it was a federal sovereign state that existed in northern region of Europe and Asia from 1922 to 1991. It was one party and was ruled by the Communist Party. Before looking at Gdansk strike, let's understand what is Gdansk. Actually, Gdansk is a city of northern Poland near the mouth of the Vistula River on the Gulf of Gdansk, an inlet of the Baltic Sea. An old Slavic settlement, Gdansk was a part of the Hanseatic League after the 13th century and was later ruled by Poland and Prussia before it was made a free city again by the Treaty of Versailles 1919. Hitler's demand that Gdansk be returned to Germany led to his invasion of Poland and the beginning of World War II, that is on 7th September 1939. Correction, that is on September 1939. The city was taken by the Russians in 1945 and subsequently restored to Poland. It is a major port and shipbuilding center. Now let's see. You can see in the book with the picture with the name Lech Wałęsa. Who is he? He is a Polish labor leader and politician of the 20th century, known for the success of Solidarity, an independent labor union that he headed. He was periodically put under arrest by the communist government. WALESA won the Nobel Prize for Peace in 1983. From 1990 to 1995, he was president of Poland. And Lech Wałęsa was a former electrician in shipyard dismissed from service in 1976, soon emerged as a leader of striking workers. Now, what were the demands of striking workers? The demand was right to form independent trade unions, release of political prisoners, and end censorship of press. Now let's see what is trade union. What is meant by trade union? It means an organized association of workers in a trade. On the other point of political prisoners, its meaning is a person imprisoned for their political beliefs and actions. Censorship means suppression of any parts of books, films, news. And if this is not allowed, it means we can realize that there is no freedom of expression. If there is no freedom of expression, then there is no democracy at all. Understand this, my dear students. They made 21 points or agreements. There was 21-point agreement. Now let's look what were they. Movement was so popular and Wałęsa signed 21-point agreement. Government agreed to recognize the workers' right to form independent trade unions. GDANSK agreement, which means there was a new trade union, also was called or named Solidarity, which was first independent trade union. And the other is revelations of widespread corruption and mismanagement in the government made matters worse for the rulers. In your book, you can see a man in a military dress where it's written general with the spelling JARUZ, also called as ZELSKI. Let me repeat, JARUZELSKI, and this is pronounced as JARUZELSKI. Come on, say again with me, JARUZELSKI. What we have to know about him is that he imposed martial law in December 1981. Thousands of Solidarity people were put into prison. Freedom to organize, protest, and express opinions were again taken back. And after that, we can see the second wave strike by Solidarity. which began in 1988. The government this time was weaker as USSR was in the verge of disintegration and the economy was in decline. In order to understand this, you need to understand or they leave the room for the discussion of Cold War, because at that period of time we also need to keep in mind the Cold War was on between Russia or USSR and USA. Coming back to the point, another agreement was signed in April 1989. In October 1990, Poland had first president election, and WALESA, this is a spelling but pronounced as Wałęsa, became the first president of Poland. Thus, after using the example of two countries, we came to know the two features of democracy. And from the history of both the countries, that is Chile and Poland, we came to analyze the concept of democracy, or the term democracy, or the democratic nature, where a country implements its ideology or framework. And we came to know and understand that in democracy, only leaders elected by people should rule the country. And people have the freedom to express views, freedom to organize, and freedom to protest. Thank you for listening so patiently. Do your task at your home, read, and try to understand all this. And if you do not understand, you can WhatsApp to and ask the question to Rita ma'am. And once again, thank you. Stay home, stay safe, and keep others safe. And regarding the next continuation 1.2, the changing map of democracy will be continued in the next video, and it's really interesting. We can understand from here how the democracy is been changing over time. So till then, do your homework on changing map of democracy, read and try to understand. We'll meet in the next video. Bye-bye. Finally, I would like to thank Mrs. Rita Pradhan, aka Kaki, who is a graduate teacher, arts, and also would like to thank Mrs. Pravisika Pradhan and for taking this initiative and in shaping the future of our state. And also I'm very glad that Mrs. Rita Pradhan gave us and also me this opportunity, and that we are able to assist, help, and be useful to the state, to our village, to HRDD department, and most importantly, the future generations of our state, of our country, that is, dear brothers and sisters. So we all are making an effort so that we can reach you. So you all should also make an effort to access to these available teachings where you can grow yourself. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.